The following may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Nurse Kelly Phillip, third suspect in Khadija Flament's demise, to appear in court today. The nurse accused of murdering 25-year-old Princesstown mother Khadija Flament is expected to appear in court today. Homicide investigators received instructions from Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions Joan Honor Paul to charge her with murder. The suspect was released from the St. Anne Psychiatric Hospital on Thursday after spending 2 weeks there. Earlier this week, 2 of her relatives appeared virtually before a magistrate charged in connection with Flament's murder. The nurse was arrested days after Flament was reported missing, but she was in quarantine at her home in Alera Heights under police guard. However, on June 18th, she stripped naked in front of her apartment window and was acting out. Later that day, the ambulance took her to the San Fernando General Hospital, and she was subsequently transferred to the St. Anne's Hospital for treatment and evaluation. Khadija Flament had left her Lothians Road home on June 7th to visit her 8-year-old daughter at the suspect's apartment. The child had been living there for some time. 3 days later, Flament's aunt reported her missing to the Princesstown police. Police subsequently discovered burnt human remains, including bones, a skull, and teeth, which they believed to be Flament's, while searching agricultural lands situated at Reform Road, Gasparillo. However, DNA results are still pending. 18-year-old Faith Rambusa and her brother, 27-year-old Kyle Ironbeast Delande, a scrap iron dealer, both of Greenhill Avenue, Tarodale, St. Madeleine, appeared in court on Monday, July 5th. Faith Rambusa was charged with Khadija Flament's murder, while Kyle Delande was charged with disposing of Flament's body. Rambusa will appear in court on July 19th, while her brother's matter was adjourned to July 30th. Coyote Firehouse, Jordan, erased. An alleged gang leader was erased in New Grant on Thursday morning. He has been identified as Coyote Firehouse, Jordan. Police said Jordan was the leader of the Firehouse gang. According to an official police report, around 8:45 a.m., the victim's neighbor was at her Cyril Mohan Trace New Grant home when she heard explosions. She then saw the occupants of 2 vehicles shooting at a man and a woman. Police inquiries revealed the occupants were chasing Jordan, and he drove his car into Cyril Mohan Trace and then into Seagoben Avenue, which is a dead-end street. He was in the company of a woman. Jordan and the woman came out of the car and began to run. While the men focused on Jordan, the woman jumped back into the car and drove off. Investigators believe his demise was drug-related, as he was known to be involved in narcotic-related activities. Residents declined to speak to the media. Police said they were scared. Jordan's cousin, Kadeem Jordan, 27, was erased in Pleasantville last April. His erasers crashed their vehicle into his and shot him several times. And in December, on Old Year's night, Kadeem's girlfriend, Natalia Cooper, 25, was ambushed in her car as she arrived home and was shot several times. Her 2 sons were in the back seat. The older child, aged 3 years old, was injured and hospitalized. Corporals C. Ratan, PCs Christopher and Ramcharan recovered an abandoned Sylphy in Embacadere, which investigators believed was used by the erasers. Officers of the ERP, Princesstown CID, and Homicide Bureau of Investigations Region 3 visited the scene. Unidentified human remains found in Princesstown. Police have found human skeletal remains in Princesstown. After a tip-off, they went to an area in Buin-Intento where they found the remains buried in a makeshift grave on Thursday afternoon. Police were unable to say if the remains belonged to a man or a woman. No further information was forthcoming. Up to late Thursday, Princesstown and Homicide Bureau Region 3 police were still on the scene. Cop and cousins charged for several offenses. A police officer and his two cousins have been granted bail in the total sum of $700,000 after appearing in court on firearm and ammunition charges. PC Kai Pope, 30, who was last attached to the Londonville police post, Khadija Thompson, 21, a student, and Kaya Jones, 20, a cashier, both of Pinal, appeared virtually before San Fernando Senior Magistrate Armina Dionaran Singh. They were jointly charged for trafficking in firearms, possession of ammunition, and breach of the curfew. Jones, who was also charged with driving without a driver's permit and certificate of insurance, while Pope Cupid faced two other charges of employing Jones to drive without a permit and certificate of insurance. The police allegedly found them in a car parked along D-Bay Trace D-Bay around 2:30 a.m. on July 5th. In the car, the officers allegedly found a firearm and 85 rounds of assorted ammunition. They were charged by PC Maynard. Attorneys Gobind Hariprasad and Genevieve Thompson, who represented Jones, asked the court to grant her bail as this was her first run-in with the law. They said she is a single parent to a 2-year-old child and helps her mother with her infant brother who has a serious ailment. Meanwhile, attorney Shiva Budu represented the other two accused. He told the court that both Thompson and Pope Cupid were of previous good character. He said Thompson was a cosmetology student, while Pope Cupid had 8 years of service in the police force. The officer, he said, lived at Union Hall, San Fernando, has a 5-year-old child and has cooperated with investigators. In considering bail, prosecutors Sergeant Santal and Regan Ramanan asked the court to consider the seriousness and the prevalence of the charges. Jones and Thompson were each granted $200,000 bail and ordered to report twice a week at the Pinal police station. The magistrate, however, initially denied bail to the police officer because 2 addresses were provided for him. Boudou subsequently sent an email requesting that the court recall the matter and provided an official document to prove that Pope Cupid lived at Union Hall. Bail in the sum of $350,000 was granted, but the officer was ordered to report to the San Fernando police station 3 days a week and surrender his passport. The matter was adjourned to August 5. Police seize high-powered weapons in Karep. Police seized 6 high-powered rifles in Karep yesterday afternoon. Following a report of a gun attack and arson on Tuesday night in the area, a team of police officers conducted a search in a forested area between Riverside Road and Savary Street, Karep, between 1 p.m. and 4:30 p.m., where they made the discovery. The officers found 6 high-powered rifles together with 6 magazines and several rounds of 5.56 ammunition. No one was seen in the area. The exercise was initiated by ACP Anthony Belfon, Senior Superintendent Ram Dean, Superintendent Montrichard, coordinated by ASP Powder, Inspector Pitt, and Inspector Hiley. Robocop's stepson erased in Enterprise. Police are continuing inquiries into the murder of a 37-year-old Chaguanas man on Wednesday night. Officers on patrol received a report of a shooting at Jack Village, Lendor Trace, Enterprise at around 8:25 p.m. Police found Colin Alexis bleeding from gunshot wounds in the front passenger seat of a car. A district medical officer visited the scene and declared him dead. Alexis was the stepson of Chaguanas businessman Selwyn Robocop Alexis, who was shot dead in an ambush at his car wash business place in July 2016. Senior police in the Central Division said Colin Alexis was known to them, and they were paying close attention for any reprisals for his death. Man erased by assailant while getting a haircut. A 28-year-old man was erased while getting a haircut in Morvant. The deceased has been identified as Dan Adams of Wharf Trace, Maracas, St. Joseph. According to police reports, at about 2:10 p.m., Adams was at Cuts in Paradise Barbershop near Building A, Paradise Heights, Morvant, when a man entered the wooden structure. There was an exchange of words, following which Adams was shot in the head. The suspect then fled the scene on foot. The police and paramedics were notified, but Adams succumbed to his injuries. He died while still seated on the barber's chair. The police were notified, and a team of officers led by Senior Superintendent Maharaj and including ASP Douglas, ASP Williams, Inspector Daniel, and W. Inspector Sylvester responded. Man wounded by unknown assailants in Londonville. A 28-year-old man was shot in the leg on Thursday night. The victim told police that about 9:30 p.m., he was in the yard of his home when he observed three men approaching him, two of which were armed with firearms. The men opened fire without warning. The victim felt a burning sensation in his leg and raised an alarm. The suspects then fled the scene. The police and paramedics were notified, and the injured man was rushed to the Chaguanas Health Facility. PC Cole is continuing inquiries. 60-year-old granted bail for abuse of minor. A 60-year-old man was granted bail in the sum of $175,000 with a surety when he appeared before Magistrate Marine Babulal Ghafoor at the Port of Spain Magistrates Court on Tuesday. The accused was charged with the offense of assaulting a 6-year-old girl. He was ordered to have no direct or indirect communication with the girl and to stay 100 feet away from her. Jeffrey Hodgkinson of Diego Martin was arrested after a relative of the minor made a report to the police in January 2020. The girl reported an offense of sexual assault sometime between January 23 and 30. AG Corporal McCain of the Port of Spain Child Protection Unit conducted an investigation into the matter, which resulted in the arrest and charge of the accused. The accused is expected to reappear at Port of Spain Magistrates Court on August 3 to answer to the charges. Investigations were supervised by W. Superintendent A.G. Claire Guy Allen, ASP Ramnarin, and Inspector A.G. Lopez of the Child Protection Unit.